upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lowly plains, they bend on hovering wing, and ever over its babel sounds the blessed angels sing. O ye beneath life's crushing load, whose forms are bending low, who toil along the climbing way with painful steps and slow, look now for glad and golden hours come swiftly on the wing. Oh, rest beside the weary road and hear the angels sing. Love came down at Christmas, love, all lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas, star and angel gave the sign. Love shall be our token, love be yours and love be mine. Love to one and all of us, love for plea and gift and sign. Love came down at Christmas, love, oh lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas, star and angel gave the sign. Love shall be our token, love be yours and love be mine. Love to God and all of us, love for plea and gift and sign. Love came down at Christmas.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas with lots of love to make you happy. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas with mistletoe and lots of cheer, with lots of laughter throughout the years from the bottom of my heart. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y felicidad.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cindy Buchanan, and since the pandemic, I have been your all's video editor for these church services. So I am going to do the opening words for you all this morning. This is a reading called First Comes the Waiting by Erica A. Hewitt. The season of endings and beginnings, when the small signs of dawn pierce through the night, and something new is born. But first comes the waiting. First come the lessons of endings and beginnings, the presence of life, the sheltering spirit of love, grieves with those sweeping up the debris of loss, waits with those who restlessly reach out for change, grants us courage in the night to guard each other's dreams for this holy, wondrous universe. Grant us, O universe unfolding in mystery, a sense of your timing. May we loosen our grip on that which doesn't serve us, leaving behind that which we have outworn and outgrown. Teach us the lessons of beginnings. Remind us that waitings and endings may be a starting place, a planting of seeds which bring us to birth what is ready to be born, something right and just and different, a new song, a deeper relationship, a fuller love, in the fullness of time. Come and let us worship together.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour.
Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here
In the struggle and the power.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our great covenant.
O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart this cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as love to dwell. O come, you splendor very bright, as joy that never yields to might. O come and turn all hearts to peace, that greed and war at last shall cease. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as true to dwell. O come, you day spring, come and cheer our spirits by your presence here, and dawn in every broken soul as vision that can see the whole. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as light to dwell. O come, you wisdom from on high, from depths that hide within the sky, to temper knowledge with our care, to tender every act of prayer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as hope to dwell.
We are entering a time of year where the earth grows colder, animals begin to hibernate, and the days become continually shorter. Have you noticed that the light goes away earlier in the evenings these days? And we are now in the season of Advent. In the Christian tradition, Advent is the beginning of the church year, looking forward toward the birth of Jesus and the celebration of spiritual light. And Christianity is not alone in celebrating light at this time of year. You may know of other holidays or celebrate other holidays that do. Some of them include Hanukkah, Solstice and Yule, and Kwanzaa. All of these traditions involve candles and fire and lights as part of their celebrations. Now, the word Advent means coming. Something is coming, and this ritual marks the waiting, the anticipation of something that is getting closer and closer, but isn't here quite yet. Have any of us ever had to wait for a long time for something? Waiting can be hard. And that was kind of a silly question because we've all spent a lot of this year waiting and waiting and waiting. And I think rituals that honor and mark the time of waiting can be a really beautiful way to move through this time, especially this next month, the coldest and darkest time of year in some ways. So each week until Christmas, we light a new candle on the Advent wreath. The Advent wreath is a circle of evergreens along with candles. And the circle of greenery reminds us of the eternal circle of all life without beginning or end. And the candles Often, traditionally, 3 purple and 1 pink, although some traditions do them differently. But the candles remind us that we are each called to emit our own glow amid the pain and the suffering that is facing our world, that we can let our light shine. And the flame of each new candle reminds us that something is happening now, but something more is still to come. The light of Advent grows brighter and brighter, guiding us toward peace, shared joy, more love. And so last Sunday, November 29th, was the first Sunday of Advent. And so I'm going to light our first candle from our chalice. As a symbol of hope and expectation. Each week of Advent has a different theme. So the week 1 is hope. May we dare to open the shadowy places in our lives and the memories that we have to the healing light of community, the community that we have together, the community that we have with one another. With the creative power of hope, we express our longing for peace and prepare our hearts to be transformed. Now, this morning marks the second Sunday of Advent this year, the second of the last 4 Sundays leading up to Christmas. And so I will light the second candle on this Advent wreath today as a symbol of our longing for peace. The theme for the second week of Advent is peace. We bring our hope into the world when we practice peacemaking. Our beloved community aspires to be a source of freedom from violence and exclusion. May we be the ones, in the words of June Jordan, the ones we have been waiting for. Together may we strive to create a lasting peace. Next Sunday, the 13th, will be the third Sunday of Advent, and then the third candle, the pink candle, will be lit for joy. Joy! Not just any simple cheer, but the experience of joy that cannot be contained. Advent asks us to proclaim our gladness as a gift to the world, even and maybe especially in times of sorrow and uncertainty. May we share our hearts through our words, our music, and the way we live our lives in this month, and let the fullness of our joy lead to more freedom. And then Sunday, December 20th, will mark the 4th Sunday of Advent, when the final of these 4 candles will be lit for love. All along, this season of waiting will help us prepare for new life to dawn, however we mark it. Our hearts will soften and our arms open to embrace its brightness. And so this 4th candle will be lit as a reminder that there is no greater power in the world than love. Through this community and all that we are each connected through, we can become a blessing to one another. Our love is magnified and our lives are changed. We can hardly wait any longer for the wonder of love to be revealed. May we risk enough this month to become vulnerable and welcome holy tenderness. And then on Christmas Eve, a final candle is added and lit, traditionally a white candle, often called the Christ candle. Right there in the center it goes, representing the new birth, the renewal of hope and peace and joy and love that we have been waiting for and working toward all throughout the season of Advent. May we all wait well through this season, however we observe the holidays that are meaningful for ourselves and for our families.
Advent by David O. Rankin. During the Advent season, we celebrate the qualities of faith, love, hope, and joy. Yet these must be viewed through the prism of paradox. No faith is worthy without a capacity to doubt all things, for then it's only credulity. No hope is possible without the specter of defeat in the wings, for then it's only dreaming. No love is strong without the dread of loss in the heart. For then it's only passion. And no joy is complete without the certainty of sorrow in the future. For then it's only frivolity. Thus, it's wrong to mislead people with simplistic notions, for they distract us from the fullness of life. After all, the seas have storms, the clouds have lightning, and the roses have thorns forever. In This Time of Waiting by Cricket Hall. An Advent Prayer. In this time of waiting, we hold the world in our hearts. In this time of waiting, may we hold each other's hands. In this time of waiting, we may be thoughtful and introspective. In this time of waiting, may we delight in the darkness and all it teaches us. In this time of waiting, may we rekindle the fires of joy, of love, of hope, and of peace within ourselves and our communities. In this time of waiting, may we become ready for the coming day. Joy, 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 joy. We're in this season where joy may be hard to find. It may be difficult to pull out. It may be impossible to even know it ever existed, yet it does. So in our joys and concerns today, I want to give joy to the people who are healing, joy to the people who have been able to still find their center, joy to the people who have reached out and talked and said, I need help. I also have concern for those who are still struggling alone and may need someone. I want to give concern to the people who are healing and to continue sending them light of peace, comfort, and fullness of health. Join me in a simple prayer. Thank you for allowing us to be together today. Thank you for the opportunity every moment of our lives that we can show the light within and share it with others. For we walk this earth as your hands, as your feet, as your heart, as your love. And allow us to show that love wherever we may be. Go forward, have blessings, and be joyful.
in sweet surrender. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. In sweet surrender. In sweet surrender.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today at TVUUC. My name is Claudia Presley, and I'm the Director of Administration here. Today is a Share the Plate Sunday. What that means is that any contribution that comes in that is not marked as a pledge will go to today's organization and the general operating fund of TVUUC. So it will be split between those two things. The organization today is the TVUUC Refugee Fund that works with the Bridge Refugee Services. You'll be seeing a short video here in just a few minutes that tells you about Bridge, but let me tell you about what TVUUC does with Bridge. We have one family that we have worked with for the last couple of years. They are from the Congo. The mother in that family has recently had a stroke, so we have worked with them to help them be able to move into an apartment, to help with medical bills, and to also help with school supplies for the children. So any contribution that you give today would greatly benefit that family. Please give generously. Thanks for joining us today. The way you can give is to go to tvuuc.org/give, or you can text give to the number 73256, type in TVUUC, and then the amount that you would like to give. Thanks again for joining us, and have a wonderful day.
So when I came to America, I couldn't speak or read English. Okay, I was in Kenya for 2.5 years. I didn't go to school there. I was just a street kid who was just living a street life, waiting to come to America. And then I came here and I realized that things were different from where I just came from. And I was like, okay, man, I think here I can actually be anything I want to be.
The cultural shock, it's something every refugee faces when they get here. Imagine you have lived in a camp. This is your first time to live in a house. You never had water in the house, electricity, oven, and things. And seeing all the things, even if you have needed help from case management, it can be scary.
Having been at Bridge for 8 years and seen literally hundreds of clients come to Knoxville, I think it's just something that it's the right thing to do as somebody who's a humanitarian, but it's also something that clearly benefits the community. We have employers constantly calling our employment specialists looking for people to fill open positions. We see kids make great strides academically and learn English really quickly. We see clients become citizens. Everyone that we resettle is a taxpayer. So there are really big benefits to the community, just other than it being the appropriate thing for us to do as a country. It's upsetting to see a really vulnerable group of people to be scapegoated, I think, for a lot of things. I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of politics of fear that's going on in this country, and it's fear that's not based on anything real.
So within 4 to 6 months, they are able to be employed and to sustain their families, to be self-sufficient, and that can be a good economic model for low income and other marginalized communities.
It's hugely important for refugee resettlement to continue in the state of Tennessee. I think that it's in a time of historic displacement of people worldwide, over 70 million people displaced because of persecution and violence. We have an obligation as a country to do our fair share.
It can happen. We can find sustainable donors and supporters who understand why refugees are here, who understand and want to keep that culture of welcoming the stranger and the refugees to thrive. So, and I hope that one day it will happen.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long, long ago, once more child and mother weave their magic spell, touching hearts with wonder, words can never tell. In the bleak midwinter, in this world of pain, where our hearts are open, life is born again.
Ever since Moses came down from the mountaintop and found the people worshiping a calf of gold, people have been tearing down statues. Here's a picture of the calf of gold that Moses saw. That's the wrong picture. That's the Wall Street bull. Here's a picture of the calf that Moses saw, people bowing down to. In the Jewish tradition and in the Protestant tradition, tearing down statues isn't even vandalism. It's holy work. It's not a petty crime. It's divine work. So this morning, I want to speak to you about the power of icons in the season of Advent. And I'm aware that in the year 2020, this might not be the most timely topic because all across the country, people are tearing down monuments and defacing statues of all kinds. And so saying a good word about objects or icons may seem like I am swimming against a stream or going against the grain. The Hebrew scriptures are very strict about images. The book of Exodus reads, "You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them." One of the reasons for this kind of strict commandment is because in the Hebrew tradition, God is transcendent. God transcends all images. God transcends all pictures. God transcends all ideas and concepts. God transcends any work of art we could create in our minds and make with our hands. According to this tradition, if we know something inwardly, then we have no need for outward symbols or outward images or outward objects. So if this tradition is true, why are we talking about icons this morning? One reason is before the pandemic, I took a pilgrimage to the Greek Fest at the Greek Orthodox Church, our neighbor down the street. And I had an opportunity to go on a tour of the church with one of their lay leaders. And if you know anything about the Greek Orthodox tradition, you know that icons are a big thing in Orthodox spirituality. Now, an icon is a work of art. Here's an icon of St. Nicholas. Now, this St. Nicholas doesn't look much like the St. Nicholas you see in any department store. This is a religious icon based on the historic St. Nicholas. Now, an icon is a work of art. It's a material thing that is meant to be utilized for spiritual purposes. It is a devotional aid for an individual who is meditating or praying, or it might be a devotional aid for a congregation in a time of worship. To put it in perspective, all you have to do is go to the Greek Orthodox Church and see all the icons on the wall, and then come back to the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church, where we have a lot of white walls, not many images. This is one of the reasons you know that we come out of that Hebrew and Protestant tradition that says, do away with the images, do away with the pictures, do away with all the visible signs, to focus on inward and invisible spiritual life. So that's one of the reasons that talking about icons may seem like it's not an appropriate thing to do in a Unitarian Universalist church. Indeed, what I'm about to say could be considered Unitarian Universalist heresy. Now, it's all well and good to say that we should smash the idols and do away with all images, but the truth is, human beings are symbol-making creatures. Everywhere humans have ever existed, there have been symbols. There are caves in the south of France that have images that are 20,000 years old, the oldest enigma of humanity. There are images of bulls, cows, rhinos, lions, bison, deer, and other animals. Anthropologists debate the meaning of these symbols, but no one debates that they are symbols and that human beings are symbol-making creatures. Wherever human beings exist, there are images and icons. Not all images are religious. Just look at your cell phone. There are often icons on your cell phone. That's the word people use. And here's how an icon works, whether it's on your desktop or your cell phone. If you click on it, you can enter into a sophisticated computer program or maybe an interesting website. So an icon is a gateway to a much larger world. And this is what mystics tell us religious icons are. They are meant to be a gateway to a much larger world. In the Orthodox tradition, you can have icons to many different figures, sacred figures, including God. And of course, since it's Orthodoxy, God will appear as a Trinity. Now, here's the interesting thing about this Trinity. The Trinity in many icons is a picture of three very feminine-looking angels. And so this icon gives you a chance to contemplate a larger thought of God, to come to the insight that feminist theologians and womanist theologians have been asking us to enter into a direct contact with the feminine face of God, all within the confines of orthodoxy, opening up a larger world. Probably the most famous icon that you see in many different churches is Jesus. And so an icon gives a human face to sacred reality. But here's the thing, it's not meant to be the end point of your spiritual journey, but the beginning. It's a gateway. This icon has Jesus, the light giver. So an icon is meant to be a gateway into that light that illuminates all things. Now, for many Christians over the centuries, clicking on this icon has opened up a universe of possibilities. But not only Christians, many Buddhists and many Hindus and people of other faiths have learned important insights about spirituality from Jesus. Other icons might include saints like Saint Lydia or Saint Mary or Saint Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, this last one shows you how the secular world can be influenced by the religious world, the religious iconography that's practiced in many different traditions, especially the Greek Orthodox and the Russian Orthodox. I was walking into a store here in Knoxville when I saw another icon that'll be familiar to many of you, Dolly Parton, in the form of a votive candle. Now, why would the secular world choose to make a votive candle of Dolly Parton, which, by the way, we might light for the second Sunday of Advent? I think it's because she represents something that transcends our differences. There are conservatives that love Dolly Parton, and there are liberals and progressives that love Dolly. There are church-going people who love Dolly, and there are drag queens that love Dolly. There's just seems to be a bridge of all these human differences. Some have gone so far to call Dolly Parton the American Jesus, and others have canonized her as Saint Dolly. And to Orthodox ears, this sounds like heresy. But we're not talking about theology. Theology is about what you think. Spirituality is about what you feel. And the point of an icon is not to be the correct way of thinking. The point of icon is to be a focus for our devotional life. It is meant to be a gateway that takes us into a larger world. And so that's the test for whether an icon is effective. If we click on it, does it bring us to that larger world? Before the pandemic lockdown, I went to a trip to the Knoxville Museum of Art that had a wonderful exhibition of the art of Beaufort Delaney, who is from Knoxville, Tennessee, but did most of his work in Paris, France. One critic described his paintings this way. He said they are studies in light revealed, a light that illuminates, heals, redeems, and reconciles. Here are some of the images of paintings of Beaufort Delaney, studies of light revealed. If we think about his paintings this way, we could say that the paintings of Beaufort Delaney are icons. They are a window that reveals the light. An icon is a symbol of something much larger than itself. When I took that trip to the Greek Orthodox Church for Greek Fest and took that tour of the building, a young girl asked the leader of the tour, "What is an icon?" And the leader said, "An icon is an image of God, and you are an icon." So let me say that to you. An icon is an image of God, and you are an icon. The light shines in you. The light shines through you. We are entering into the season of Advent, which is a time of waiting. When I was a kid, it just meant waiting for Christmas presents on Christmas Day. In a more theological sense, it's meant to be waiting for the birth of Christ, waiting for a Messiah. And yet it is much more than that. This year I will probably not be able to go home for Christmas to visit my dad, but when I drive to see him in Milledgeville, Georgia, I often drive through Eatonton, Georgia, a very small town, which is the home of Alice Walker, who you may know as the author of The Color Purple. But when she lived there as a small child, it was a very segregated city with a lot of racial division. And she went to a segregated school, and when she went to the movie theater, she had to sit in the balcony. And yet she had faith that things could change. She had faith in herself and in others, and the capacity to change and make things better. And she captured that all in the title of one of her books, which is We Are the Ones We Are Waiting For. We are the ones we are waiting for. Inner light in a time of darkness. So Lent is a season of waiting, and we are the ones we are waiting for. This season of Advent, we wait on the dawn of new light. And yet, it's not enough to wait for peace. We have to work for peace. It's not enough to wait for justice. We have to work for justice. As the civil rights activist Ella Baker once said, give the people light, and they will find a way. And we must live into being icons, transparent to transcendent, so that we can bring light into the world. Ever since Moses came down from that mountaintop, people have been smashing idols. People have been tearing down statues and defacing icons. And sometimes that's exactly what we're called to do. Sometimes we're called to face the idolatries of the world, the idolatries of Main Street and Wall Street. However, it is also true that vandalism is not the only form of veneration, and a wrecking ball is not the only form of worship. And if we are able to focus our attention on an icon, then we may find it to be a portal into a new tomorrow, the dawn of a new day. And we will arrive at that time described by the prophet Isaiah. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them a light has shined. So may it be.
People look east, the time is near of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able. Trim the hearth and set the table. People look east and sing today. Love the guest is on the way. Girls, be glad the earth is bare. One more seed is planted there. Give up your strength, the seed to nourish. Then in a cause the flower may flourish. People look east, people look east. Love the rose is on the way. Stars keep the watch, but night is dim. One more light the bow shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, brighter than sun and moon together. People look east, love the star is on the way.
Hey everybody. Sorry I'm not normally this dressed up, but I got a thing I got to do later on. These are the closing words for the service. As we now part one from another, Eileen B. Carpeles. As we part now one from another, let these be our thoughts. If that which is most holy lies within the human person, and if the greatest power in the world shines flickering and uncertain from each individual heart, then it is easy to see the value of human associations dedicated to nurturing that light. The couple, the family, the religious community. For the power of good in any one of us must at times waver. But when a group together is dedicated to nurturing the power of good, it is rare for the light to grow dim in all individuals at the same moment. So we borrow courage and wisdom from one another to warm us and keep us until we're together again. Namaste, y'all.
Let people living in all lands
declare that fear and pain are gone. Rise above differences and stand in love and understanding one.
And now it's time to log off your computer and go out into the world. Don't forget to put your coat on and some warm clothes. But during this week, find a time to send a text or an email or a card, or find some way to stay connected with each other in this time of pandemic. Go in peace.